Hi there, my name is Dana Lombardi. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to watch this video. I'm going to share some science with you on a pure immunity molecule called transfer factor. You're probably wondering, what the heck is this? Well, I'm telling you, by the end of this video are going to know exactly what it is and what it's for. So I just want to start by giving you a little bit of my story. I have been diagnosed with 3 autoimmune issues. I have been diagnosed with a nasty virus whose initials are EBV. I've also had a crushed adrenal gland. I've had an overgrowth of candida, and I have adult onset food allergies. I'm allergic to, just to name a few, gluten, dairy, egg, soy, garlic, green beans, tomato, cauliflower, did I say that one? Sesame, radish. I mean, the list goes on. In fact, by the time I got my test results back, I'm like, what the heck can I eat? It was terrible. And I spent most of my days really struggling with symptoms that included fatigue, like super tired, and yet insomnia because I couldn't sleep. And so that seems oxymoronic, right? There were nights where I would sleep 8, 10 hours, or at least try, and I would wake up just as exhausted as I was when I went to bed. I experienced hair loss. Okay, hair loss isn't to life or death, but it's pretty important, right? I had body aches from head to toe due to the inflammation, probably from all those foods I was eating that I was allergic to. I'd have heart palpitations every day, brain fog, I would nap all the time. I had digestive issues, and the list goes on. I like to say I was a hot mess express. Well, I have a friend who has some similar health concerns, and she sent me this story, and she asked, do you think this can help us? So I listened to this story, and I was totally convinced that this was my missing link. So I want to tell you a story about a girl named Lindy. I've actually gotten to know her. She's a friend of mine. We've traveled together. In fact, we've zip-lined through the rainforest in the Dominican Republic. She's an amazing human being. So that's a little bit of a spoiler alert because the story ends well. But at the age of 14, she was diagnosed with an autoimmune digestive system disease. I can't tell you the name of the disease, unfortunately, but it doesn't matter. It was life-threatening, or it had become life-threatening. Doctors were treating her with all kinds of medication, which took tolls on the other parts of her body, organs and such, right? And she got so sick that she actually spent 3 years in the hospital. She missed 3 Thanksgivings, 3 Christmases, 3 New Years. You get the drift. And one day the doctors came to her mom and said, look, she needs an ileostomy bag like right now. Excuse me. And so we've got to get this done. So when they went in to do the surgery, to do the ileostomy, they actually ruptured her colon and she went septic third spacing. In fact, this is Lindy here on life support. Terrible, right? So before I go on with the story, I just want to stop and say that we're talking about 4Life transfer factor. And 4Life doesn't claim to treat, cure, or prevent any disease, but this is just an incredible story that made sense to me. So her mom, back to Lindy, sorry about that. Her mom was devastated. The doctors came to her and said, there's just nothing else we can do. When she went septic third spacing, they drained 3 gallons of E. coli off of this poor girl. So imagine a gallon of water or milk, right? 3 of those came off of that poor girl's body. Well, she went out to social media, her mom, and she did a cry for help. And a prayer chain started. And as a result, a stranger to Lindy at that point answered this prayer call with a private message saying, your daughter needs transfer factor. Well, what are transfer factors, right? So this woman graciously overnighted transfer factor to Lindy's hospital. Excuse me. The doctors actually didn't know what transfer factors were, but allowed her mom to give them to her because they are in the physician's desk reference. In fact, I'm going to show you. I marked my pages here. This is the 2017 edition, and there are the transfer factors right there. There's the bottle. well, that didn't work out so well, but you see my drift. There it is right there. And so when you turn a few pages over, several pages over, the doctors now can go read all about transfer factors right here, what they do, how they work, their interactions, which is none, by the way. And so they were able to give Lindy the transfer factors. So because she was on life support, when the bottle came, they couldn't give it to her in capsule form because she obviously couldn't eat. They opened up this capsule, they sprinkled it on her tongue, and then realized we can actually give it to her through her feeding tube. So they did. They opened up this capsule, they mixed it into her formula, and in the feeding tube it went, and they were loading her up with transfer factor. The beautiful thing is, because it's not a vitamin, mineral, or herb, you can't overdose on it. It's a molecule that's actually already in your body, and I'm going to share that with you in a moment. So they were giving her 10 a day. Day 3, her mom hears Lindy's fingernails tapping on the side of the bed. She was waking up. Urine started coming out of her catheter, which meant organs were starting to wake up. And like any brilliant mom, she hands her daughter a cell phone, and she texted, "I'm in pain." So now Lindy's able to communicate. The doctors were completely amazed. In fact, they're like, "We're not quite sure what this is, but keep doing it." And if she survives, she's going to be in the hospital for a year so that we can get her organs up and running. She's going to need some physical therapy. She's going to have to learn how to walk, talk, and eat again, right? All the basic things you and I take for granted. Well, they said it would take a year, and not only did it not take a year, it took 10 weeks. Lindy walked out of the hospital 10 weeks later, and about 6 weeks after that, she went to the prom. This is Lindy on her prom night. Isn't she beautiful? So when I heard that story, I'm like, hold it. If it can do that for her, I wonder if it could do it for me. So I did a little bit of research. I actually didn't care. I was so desperate to feel better, but I did my due diligence and I did some research, and I figured it can't hurt me because it's not going to interfere with any of the medications I'm taking. So I ordered a bottle. Well, I've already told you all my food allergies, and at about day 3, I thought, you know what, I'm going to test this thing. Now, I'm going to say it again if I didn't say it already. 4Life Research does not claim to treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Now, this is my story. Day 3, I decided I was going to try some of these foods that I am allergic to, and I made myself a grilled cheese sandwich, like real bread, real butter, real cheese. I grilled that thing so perfectly that, you know, when you cut it in half and the cheese drips like that, and I used good sharp cheddar cheese. And anyway, I ate the sandwich and I had no issues. Now, gluten goes and affects my joints immediately. Like, I know if I'm at a restaurant and I've ordered gluten-free off the gluten-free menu, if it snuck in there, I knew, because it affects my joints starting with my jaw. I would ache and it would go all the way down my body, and I would lay in bed. I couldn't go to sleep because my body just ached so much, right? Dairy affects my digestive system. Like, within 20 minutes of eating dairy, I would be in the bathroom. And I'll leave that there because I'm sure you don't care about those details. Well, when I ate that sandwich, nothing happened. Nothing happened. And I'm like, wait, what? I freaked out and I thought, I'm not doing that again. So I stayed clean eating again for 3 more days. And I went to visit my husband, who was house sitting for his brother, about 2.5 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours from where we live now. And we went to this restaurant that's known for their deviled egg appetizers. I said to my husband, while the waiter's standing right here, it was a little awkward, I said, go ahead and get those eggs. And my husband's like, I'm not going to eat those eggs in front of you. I go, I'm going to eat them with you. We'll take the eggs. And my husband goes, we're not going to take the eggs. We're not doing that. And I'm like, we'll take the eggs. I'll explain in a minute. This poor waiter was like, eggs or no eggs? It was awkward. So he brings the eggs back. I told my husband, I said, listen, I told him the grilled cheese thing that I did, which if he were home, I never would have been able to do that. We would have had WrestleMania on the kitchen floor because he was in charge of all the food and keeping me healthy. He wasn't real thrilled that I ate a grilled cheese sandwich, but he was really intrigued at this point as to why I didn't suffer, right? So I ate the eggs that night. I proceeded to order a bacon cheeseburger with garlic aioli. Everything about that I'm allergic to. The cheese, the bread, the aioli, the garlic. Hot Mess Express, right? And nothing happened. My husband kept saying, are you doing all right? I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. And I continued to explain the science that I had learned now about this transfer factor thing that I was trying. So let me back up by saying I don't condone anybody put this to a test within 3 days. It just worked for me. It's my story. It's worked for a lot of people, but it hasn't worked for a lot of people. We really recommend that you get transfer factors in your body at least 30 days before you test it. But in this case, it worked out for me. So we walked downtown. I was fine. I had no issues. And I knew I was onto something. This was my missing link. I have done protocols. I've done the medical medium protocol. I've done the WINCE protocol. I did CBD oil. I've juiced. I have eaten clean forever. I mean, I was on it because I didn't want to feel as bad as I had been feeling. So fast forward now, I have become so passionate about sharing this because I'm getting better and better and better. I no longer struggle from fatigue and no hair loss, no heart palpitations, no body aches, no digestive issues. I'm good, and it's amazing. So that's where I am 18 months into this. I want to fill you in on what Lindy's up to these days. Last November, she went in to see about getting her ileostomy bag removed to see if she was a candidate for that. And so the doctor said, we'll do some exploratory surgery. We'll go in there. We'll see if it's even feasible for you to get rid of this ileostomy bag. And they did just that. And not only was she a candidate to get her ileostomy bag removed, but when they went in there, they found no evidence that her digestive issues ever existed. Nothing. There was no yeast in there. There was no sign of her disease at all. And the only thing that she is taking from, at one point, the count was 75 medications, she is taking transfer factor. That's it, except for one drug that is required by law that she take via infusion. It's called Remicade, and she has to do that once a month until she's in remission for 5 years. So she's just about halfway through that, and she will be on nothing but transfer factor here very soon. Incredible, right? So what is a transfer factor and how does it work? Okay, you were born with them. We were born with transfer factor. They are part of our immune cell. They're in the white blood cell. And they are in charge of educating the immune system and empowering the natural killer cells. Now, if you have autoimmune, hang with me because I know that word empowerment is not one you want to hear. I didn't want to hear it either. I don't mean that. So just hang with me, okay? So what it is we have actually found a way to put transfer factor back in our body. We were born with it, and then we were supposed to get more factors transferred to us within our first 3 days of life through our mom's colostrum. Okay, that's the breast milk before the actual milk comes in. It is pure immunity. It's just rich in immune knowledge. So mom transfers immune knowledge to baby through colostrum. Well, what research has figured out is that the DNA in all land-dwelling mammals' transfer factors are identical. Let that sink in for a minute. That's a mouthful. Transfer factors in all land-dwelling mammals, the DNA in all land-dwelling mammals' transfer factors are identical and transferable. This science is about 70 years old. I want to look at my notes because I don't want to forget anything. Yeah. This science is about 70 years old. H. Sherwood Lawrence, Dr. H. Sherwood Lawrence, you don't have to remember that name unless you want to Google him, and I recommend you do. He was doing some research in his lab, and the question is, how do other mammals not get sick? And they're born in filthy environments like a barnyard, right? So he studied a cow. How is a calf able to stay healthy and be born in a barn? I know I've said that to my kids a million times. Are you born in a barn? Anyway. Well, upon birth, mom gives baby colostrum, which is full of transfer factor, okay? And so for many years, people have taken cow colostrum. I never would have done that because I'm allergic to dairy and I don't mess with hormones. And you can go right now to the store and buy dried cow colostrum. But here's the deal. Marketers have gotten really smart, and they will even put on the bottle of cow colostrum, no hormones added. That just means they haven't injected that cow with hormones. But it's cow colostrum. It's breast milk. Of course, there's hormones in there. So I just never would have taken that. Besides, We own the filtration patents that we can actually extract the transfer factor only, leaving the dairy and the hormones behind, and create a really condensed, consolidated, rich immune empowerment capsule. This is a capsule of transfer factor. It's little, okay? I should have maybe brought a quarter so you could see the size. It's a little capsule. You can actually open it up. It's tasteless and odorless. Put it on your tongue if you want to. Mix it into your smoothie, applesauce, yogurt, guacamole, doesn't matter, right? So here's the science. When Dr. H. Sherwood Lawrence realized that the DNA in all land-dwelling mammals transfer factors are identical and transferable, he filed a patent, did nothing with it. 1998, David Lisenby found the patent, bought the patent, and created the technology to filter out just the transfer factor. And so that's what we have now. What happens now is when you take transfer factor, when you put it back into your body, it starts to work within 4 hours. It breaks that blood-brain barrier. It does not need any other protein to get it there, and it starts working and educating your immune system. I'm going to give you an analogy. Okay, chickenpox. You've probably had chickenpox, or you know somebody that did, right? You breathed in that virus and your body went, what is that? Do we have a factor for it? Does it belong here? What do we do with it? And so it's searching its immune system database, if you will. Excuse me. And that process of discovery can take up to 72 hours. So as it's searching the immune system database, you're getting sick. You've got a rash, you've got the bumps, you don't feel good, you've got full-blown chickenpox. Well, the information comes back, nope, it does not belong here, get it out. So the first job of the transfer factor is to recognize that threat and to empower the natural killer cells to respond to that threat. So now our natural killer cells that are just kind of little Pee-wee Hermans floating around are now empowered Rambos, and they're going and they're taking out that virus, okay? And you start to get better. That's how the immune system works, right? But the second job of a transfer factor is to stamp that immune system database with a factor. It's a memory marker. So now you've breathed in chickenpox a million more times probably. I've had 4 kids. I've intentionally exposed them to chickenpox. So I've breathed it in being room mom and team mom and you name it, right? And I never got sick again because my body recognized it. And as I breathed it in, before I could ever get sick, my body said, nope, get it out. Isn't that incredible? That science made sense to me. I hope it's making sense to you. So the next question, I'm going to take it one step further. I don't know why I'm struggling right now. And I'm out of water. The next question was, what about birds? What about chickens? How are they getting immune knowledge when they don't nurse? Well, 4Life Research discovered they also have transfer factors in their egg yolk, which is identical. So if you were to take a transfer factor from a cow, a chicken, a human, and a horse and put it under a microscope, you could not tell whose was whose or which one was which. So when you put transfer factor back in your body uses it immediately. It doesn't recognize it as anything new because, again, it's not a vitamin, mineral, or herb. So we actually can raise your immune IQ up to 437%. 437%. And research shows right now that in a healthy 25-ish-year-old person, our immune systems are only working at about 18% right now. I'm a little over 25. I was not healthy. Mine was probably working like at 8%. I don't know, right? Now I have a rockin' immune system. So the chickenpox analogy makes sense. David Lisenby started 4Life Research 21 years ago, and ever since then, we have been the immune system company. So I'm hoping all of this makes sense to you, right? All right, now, where am I now? So this is a part that I want to tell you. I no longer suffer. I now educate the masses on how amazing transfer factors are, what they can do for you. Now, I nursed my children, right? But I was not, actually only nursed 2 of my children, and I have 4. But I wasn't nursed. So whatever immune system knowledge I gained or had is what my kids got, right? And I don't know if my mom was nursed or her mom was nursed or whatever, but that's where the break in the chain happened, you guys. We were not now able to transfer all this immune knowledge through the generations, right? Not to mention, we live in an environment where it's planes, trains, automobiles. We've got stress. We have chemicals in our water. Our foods are nutritionally depleted, and our immune systems just can't keep up. So, if you're struggling with any kind of the symptoms that anything, any disease, any illness, if you get sick every year, by the way, I used to get bronchitis every year, haven't had it now 2 in a row, which is amazing. And I just don't get sick, right? If you have allergies, my husband has terrible seasonal allergies. He hasn't taken a Claritin or a Zyrtec in like 3 seasons, the 2 spring seasons and fall season. He just doesn't need them because those are threats. So if you are struggling or you want preventative immune system support, I highly recommend that you get started on our transfer factors right away. Oh, I'm like, where's my bottle? I forgot I dropped it. Get started right away. Ask in this group, if you're watching this in a group, or ask the person that sent you this video any questions you might have and where can I get it. You want to get it at a 4Life authorized distributor, so that you ensure you're getting a really good product. I hope this helped you. Let me look at my list, make sure I didn't miss anything. That's it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it.